Hey fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps and you're watching True School Sports.
Just shameless plug, go down the comment section, alright, you'll see it, and go to the official True School Sports merch store to get yourself a hoodie like this or a tank top like this. It's great stuff. If you get one of these True School Sports shirts, I guarantee you, your success with women will quadruple. Guaranteed. The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, a bit of breaking news coming out of women's boxing. Cecilia Braekhus, the first lady of boxing, has reported a couple hours ago that Cecilia Braekhus has in fact activated her rematch clause for a rematch with Jessica McCaskill in early 2021. Now, before I proceed any further, we get into the quote from what both fighters said in regards to the clause being activated. Let me just say that if you follow this channel on a video-by-video basis and you saw my video on this fight, I thought Cecilia got robbed. I thought boxing robbed her of retiring undefeated, and it was another classic case of boxing not allowing someone to retire undefeated if they can help it. And unfortunately, Cecilia left it a little bit too close for boxing to not handle her first L, and that they did. But I thought she beat McCaskill. I'm glad she's coming back. I'm glad that she's not, going to be in retirement for any much longer. She was recently here in Miami, and she was getting some R&R, some good old rest and relaxation on South Beach, and hopefully the South Florida sunshine and the South Florida palm trees have relaxed her, have gotten her back to a good place in order for her to turn in at what I think will be a masterful performance. I think she's going to box Jessica McCaskill's ears off, because before the first fight, she started training with Abel Sanchez, who is a completely opposite sort of style. He employs a different type of style than she's used to fighting, and I feel like she had a bit of an identity crisis early on in that fight. And that allowed McCaskill into the fight and allowed McCaskill to get a lot of momentum and make a lot of rounds close. Closer than they would have been if Cecilia had started from round one and started boxing and moving and using the jab. And you saw as that fight wore on, as she began to do that, she was winning these rounds easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It was no problem for her. Now, getting to the fight, they're talking about this fight potentially happening in early 2021. It won't happen in this calendar year. But both fighters did comment on the first lady of boxing exercising her rematch clause. Jessica McCaskill, here's what she said. She stated the following, and it's a long quote, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll read parts of it for you guys. If you want to see the whole quote, you can go in the article. I'll leave it in the description for you guys so you can read it and come to your own conclusion for yourself. But McCaskill said, I quote, "That's the fastest retirement I've ever seen in boxing history. We knew she would be back and that it would only be a matter of time. Usually those type of conversations straight after a fight to direct the audience's eyes away from the loss. In this sport, so many people have said that they are retired and then come back to have fights." You know what I'm saying? And then Cecilia was just honest. She gave her perspective. She said, I quote, "It was the weakest performance in my whole career. I still feel I won or I could have got a draw. And when I thought about that, I knew I could be here in a rematch. I didn't want to go out with a career worst performance either. I definitely owe that to my fans. If this was a fight where I lost a better fighter and had been in my best shape and had given it my all, then fine, I could retire. But that was not the case here." So there you have it. And I like the fact that Cecilia was honest with herself. I mean, hopefully she did a lot of soul searching and introspection when she was here in South Florida, getting some R&R. But that clearly wasn't the best Cecilia Braekhus. I don't know if that's down to her condition. I don't know if that's down to her age. Personally, for me, I think it's a matter of Cecilia Braekhus having Abel Sanchez in her corner and him trying to have her fight a style that she's not accustomed to fighting. And that kind of, like I said, in the early parts of the fight, it caused an identity crisis, and it allowed McCaskill, who is a no-nonsense, come-forward, blue-collar fighter, very workmanlike, she throws a lot of punches, that gave her favor in the judges' eyes, and what was it? Close fight. So the first fight was good. What's happened in Tulsa is done in Tulsa, And I'm looking forward to a good fight. Women's boxing right now. You got honestly, even if you're not the biggest fan of women's boxing, you got to tip your cap to women's boxing because there's been a lot of good fights happening in women's boxing, a lot of exciting moments in women's boxing. For better or for worse, we had Tanisha Estrada knock that girl in 7 seconds. Miranda Atkins. We had the Terry Harper, Natasha Jonas fight, which was a banger. We had Rachel Ball versus Shannon Corney, which is great. We had this fight. There's been a lot of great things, a lot of positives for women's boxing, and I believe that women's boxing is in one of the best places it's been in a while. You also had Katie Taylor versus Delphine Pursoon. So, hey, we give credit where credit is due here on True School Sports. It's been an amazing year for women's boxing, and I would expect that to continue on to 2021 because the reality is right now, Eddie Hearn damn near has a monopoly on women's boxing. I mean, almost all those fights I named you guys were all, with the exception of Tanisha Estrada, were Eddie Hearn Matchroom Boxing promoted fights on Matchroom Boxing promoted cards. So he's doing this thing. He's really done his part to push women's boxing forward. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. It's not always my cup of tea, but I love great fights, and I don't care if it's the flyweights, the heavyweights, or the women's flyweights, or the women's middleweights. I'm gonna watch because I'm a boxing fan. So yeah, that's the news. Cecilia Braekhus has in fact exercised rematch clause. She didn't like the way that fight happened. She said she came to Miami. She got some rest and relaxation, and she said to herself, Cecilia ain't going out like no punk. She ain't going out like no punk. She's the fighting pride of Norway. She's Norway's very own, and she's got to fly that flag high. And she's got to right this wrong and put the cherry on top of what's been excluding this fight, what's been a perfect career. The perfect career. And she's been such an asset to the sport of boxing. In her country, here in America, for women's boxing and boxing at large. She got boxing legalized in the country. Not many fighters can claim that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who do you got in the rematch? Jessica McCaskill or Cecilia Braekhus? I'm just going to go on record and say right now, McCaskill, all credit to her. She's come a long way in her life. Nothing but respect, and God bless her. But Cecilia Braekhus, I believe, will put this wrong and make it a right. And put the exclamation point on what's been a great career so far. So leave your comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just giving Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. This fight's gonna be absolutely huge. Like, if it was already huge enough because there's a lot of pride at stake. Cecilia Braekhus wants to avenge her loss and right that wrong. But now to add even further incentive to this fight. It's been reported by Ring Magazine that the inaugural Women's Ring Magazine welterweight title will be at stake between Jessica McCaskill and Cecilia Braekhus. So a lot of history to be made here. Cecilia Braekhus, if this is going to be her last fight, she can go out with a massive bang and make history and become the first ever Ring Magazine Women's Welterweight Champion and avenging her loss. For McCaskill, this also gives her extra incentive to want to go out there and put her name in the history book. So this was one of the better fights in what's been a laundry list of great fights in women's boxing since boxing started up again. And this is just going to be another interesting wrinkle to the plot. So let me know what you guys think. Ring Magazine Women's Welterweight title will be on the line. Leave your comments down below. And yeah, take care.
My name is Rachel McDonough, and this is my friend. Hi, I'm Susanna. And we're here at the beautiful Madison Square Garden for the big fight. And you are watching